I probably won't be telling too much about Sravni compare.ru. We've been working for quite some time, and those people who are present here are more or less familiar with this site. So we will be talking more about in what direction we are moving, especially insofar as it concerns the banking business, because we are actually at the forum which is dedicated to the banking business. So I will be anticipating various tricky questions and ideas, and maybe some even critique in my respect. So let's start with the problems that actually exist on the market at the moment, and the greatest problem that actually exists nowadays on the banking market is the inability to compare the actual conditions when it comes to the credit products between different banks, and the clients are looking at proposals and they get consultations from various sources with various emphasis, with various types of aggressive sales, and they experience stress, and they sign contracts without seeing what else other players are able to propose to them. And we will have at 11:30 today a short story in the hallway about whether the clients are prepared for this kind of business. And according to our survey, 81% of Russians are prepared to get loans online. How do we answer? What are we planning to do? We are planning to build, or actually we have already built a new client path. The client comes to the compare.ru, Sravni.ru site, then they authorize at the government services portal. And then we propose the client to choose the best solution that is most interesting one for the client. Then we need to meet the client once to confirm the validity, confirm that the client is the correct person, the one who entered the data on the website in the questionnaire, and then the entire transaction goes back online. The client goes back to the website, signs the contract, and receives money at the bank where he has received the credit. So it all happens at our platform on the Sravni.ru site, and then they can use the money at the bank with which they have signed the contract. So we actually convert, transfer the client's onboarding to the respective bank. Why do the clients need it? In order to build that track, we need to get a little bit further away from the major lead generation models. We need to enhance our internal team with certain competences and get a status of a financial platform with the central bank. And the main differences with the lead generation is that in order to build this kind of process, we need to get into the central bank regulatory area and get the real legitimate acceptances from the bank, approvals from the bank for the transfer of personal data, etc. We need to learn to make identification further to the Federal Law 115. So this entire scope of tasks, which usually creates a certain tension inside the bank when working with the lead generation. This entire scope of tasks has been solved on our site, and that has made it possible to build this client path that we spoke about before. So what does it yield? What does it give to the banks in our opinion? Why do we think it should be interesting for the bankers? And so what do they get? What is their gain? For the bank, it is access to the regions where they do not have branch offices at the moment, without building physical infrastructure, without training their own managers, people who would travel around to meet with the clients. Also streamlining of the the network of offices. If there was a physical network, but now it's becoming not feasible economically to keep it because it's not loaded, and the clients get repeated credits with mobile banks. So therefore it means that they can leave those regions, close down the offices, and transfer the service of those regions to the side of the financial platforms without losing their business. Another possibility is the new clients, and the new clients now are quite expensive for the banks, and the banks can expand by themselves their clientele, their pool of clients. Some banks can do it via corporate business, but it's very expensive for the banks who want to play it. And so it's either new clients, or there is another problem that the banks have huge client bases. However, they cannot communicate with it on a regular basis because the communication with the client is also quite expensive, costly, because in order to make some sales out of a 15 million persons base, you have to segment it, you have to run it through the Bureau of Credit histories and make assumptions about which clients can be approached with the proposals of loans, and then make a proposal to whom those proposals can be made, etc. And so it's a big work which actually is implemented at various banks differently. So it's actually quite poorly done, and it's also very costly. And out of a 15 million strong base, we can get about 10,000 loans, even though this segment of people have actually received 50,000 loans in the market. But those people have not been selected by that communication effort which was undertaken by the bank. So we can do the reactivation of the sleeping base. Then I can tell further about what opportunities there exists. So the access to the new market for the banks which are not involved with crediting, which do not involve the new deposits. We actually give access to retail business, we give a full platform, a client path, and we can actually give access to prior to onboarding, prior to signing the contract. And sometimes there are situations something can be changed by the bank. We need to increase the portfolio and attract a certain segment of the clients. We can start for example, some activity, and it needs to be told in the market. And we can just lower the tariffs. And we can actually measure it on the client stream, measure the output, and then decide what to do with it. So it's quite a flexible managerial tool by doing this kind of a fine-tuning with the product. Again, I would like to say here that where do the financial marketplaces, financial platforms get the money? The main thing is, of course, the commission. The commission for the issued products, the commissions for the completed transaction. That's something that works on the insurance sector. And when we are talking about the work with a full client track in the side of the marketplace, we are also talking solely about working with the financial transactions. And the commission only arises in the event of completed contract, signed contract. A very important issue is that compare.ru is a huge site with a huge traffic. Over 15 million people attend this every month, with quite a large pool of the loyal clients who know about us, and they regularly come back to us for free without or for the existing channels. All of that in aggregate enables us to keep the economy on the bank, to maintain the economy, to economize on the banking products. And we also invite everybody to discuss, to think about it. Our joint TV companies, and we are working on that. We think about that in that direction, and we as a financial marketplace are looking at how the non-financial marketplace, for example, commodity marketplaces are functioning. And we have seen this TV ads, TV commercials like buy Ona or Oppo phones at Sveznoy Networks, or buy Tide detergent with a discount at the Wildberries marketplace. So we were thinking about, opening a credit with this or that bank on this or that set of terms, and maybe that could constitute an ad message, a commercial. And we are calling upon everybody to get connected and think about it, especially when it comes to the banks who want to access some new regions where those brands are not very familiar, and maybe that may work. So far we don't have the cases of that sort, but it's an interesting trend for the development of the financial marketplaces. And another pool is the analysis. We are clear about the fact that the financial platforms are becoming the place where a lot of big data is stored, and that's actually unique information which is not present elsewhere, especially with the product distribution teams of the banks in order to set up their products, to establish their products in the market. So this is actually the real chart, real graph on the rates. We are talking about analytics, market analytics, not competitive one. So for example, this is a real graph of the credit rates for 300,000 credit for 3 years with an insurance. What rate has been offered to the client on our site? And based on it, we could have signed a contract. And in the course of this year, we used to have 3 banks. It was launched in April. The key interest rate was very high at that moment. And actually, the credit rate was also from 35 to 40%. That was the market phenomenon. Then the key interest was refinancing rate was dropping, and the product strategies of the banks were reacting to it in a peculiar way. For example, there are banks which have access to flat rates around 25%, and there are banks who were lowering it more aggressively, who were working a little bit below it. So we are also seeing what factors are affecting the choice of the proposal by the clients. The rates for visualization I have shown it, and if we disconnect the insurance, these lines will gain different color because the banks are working very professionally, and the banks work very differently in various in various price segments. But it's not always the rate, it's also the amount of the maximum limit, because sometimes the clients prefer to take the entire amount in one place. Also, the payment, the rate can be different, but also the banks, for the checks, which is necessary, they propose terms for the clients who do not require additional documents are chosen more eagerly by the clients than those who require a lot of additional documents. So actually we want to set up the process. We are providing it to our partners for free in order to get a good product, but it's information which is not available in the market at the moment. But now it's becoming available. And how the project was launched, it's a small background stages. The starting point was July 2020 when Law 211 about financial platforms was adopted, and it becomes the foundation for this kind of a client path of getting banking products and non-banking sites. About a year was used for obtaining a license. When I was drawing it, actually it's true, in August, by the end of August 2021, we got a status from the central bank. Another year was spent on the launching of a pilot project and the integration of the first 3 banks and connecting to all the public state level services, because we had to be certified by the central bank. So it's adoption of this law, then our certification, and then another year has been spent for the launch of the pilot project. So now we are involved with crediting. And speaking about the pilot projects are with 5 banks. They were available in 3 cities. It's a small size, small volume, about 10,000 unique clients per month to whom the banners are shown. And we are seeing continuous results, continuous improvement, and we see that the problems are not problems anymore, they are more like challenges, about which I'm going to speak separately. We actually have been trying to address them. We have undertaken this pilot set of activities, and I hope that in November we will already be satisfied ourselves by the product, and we will scale it to the cities with a population of over 1 million, metropolitan cities, because there is a difference when it comes to the quality of products. Only once can the impression be made on the client, and then it will linger. And so we have actually deployed the product, we have tested it, and we can now allow the clients in various cities to try it. And maybe in Moscow is a different type of a metropolitan city. It's a unique city and definitely will have a different pattern, different funnel, different expectations. So opening Moscow for ourselves is actually a separate stage within our project. Also in December we are going to also be able to issue loans in 400 cities, and then expand it from 400 cities to those cities and regions which we can reach actually. The challenges, the major challenges that we have encountered on this stage of the project. I didn't want to talk about financial monitoring, internal control and identification, anti-fraud, etc., because it's actually a basic work which is not very customary for an internet company, for an online company, but which was undertaken by us. It's a routine work, but it's actually a big stage for us. And the challenge is the infrastructure, about which a lot has been said at the plenary session, and that's the infrastructure is a big challenge for everyone. So where should we have built the protected contour, protected perimeter, on hardware at the data center or in the cloud? Because there are no banks actually who have all the infrastructure in the cloud, but we have to have a full-scale bank, fully-fledged banking infrastructure, and we use both methods, and we were the first ones in the market, and we have shown an example to other partners and to other banks, to many banks, because now we communicate with the partners, and we know that many banks, after they have looked at our successful case, they are converting their banking infrastructure into the cloud, because the first company that has received financial security cloud certificate for the cloud-based information, we have been certified with by a dedicated, a special information security company, and our infrastructure has was certified according to the banking GOST standard 575.80, and this is the first case. That's actually a big challenge. If we used hardware, then probably it would have been very difficult for us, because it's hard to buy the hardware. Another challenge for building such projects. It's a link between the partners and the clients. And we know that our partners are present here now, and the partners say that we will come to you if we have clients and you will give us the volumes. The clients say, yes, we will get it from you if you have what to choose from. And this tie, this link, actually it's hard to solve. What is primary? What is secondary? Of course, we've had a certain advantage due to the fact that we do have some clients, and there are quite a few of them, because the platform has been working for quite some time in lead generation, and the bank flow is present. And now we are moving over. I would like to say separate thank you, because they have supported us at the start. And now we are at the front, at the first stage. We are completing our pilot stage. We are not doing the final deployment of our services. And the complexity of this project is we don't have our own product. We are selling the products of our partners, because when you are selling your own product, you can make it more risky or less risky. You can hand it out to a larger number of clients. Here we cannot do it, because we are fully dependent on the partner banks, and they issue from their own strategy of promoting the product in the market. Therefore, it is more difficult than building a bank or a microfinancing institution, because you are not governing the conditions, you are only packing them. And of course, those are the solved challenges. There are 5 banks. There are also other banks who are connecting with us. Those are the solved challenges, and we have made the product. And another challenge that is in front of us is forming a new behavioral pattern with the client. There is a product which is very cool, which hasn't been in existence before, and now this opportunity has appeared. And nobody knows about it. Nobody has a global expertise of using this type of product. So our next step is to tell that those products actually can be approached differently, that we can differently approach the credits. And this is the challenge that we are facing, that we are going to be dealing with. It's connected with the scaling and the economic effect, and receiving additional portfolio on the side of the banks. And this is what we are going to focus upon shortly. And it seems to be manageable. It's just a question of time. So this is the screen, and we have a colleague who has 5 approvals, and I would like to let you see what these products yield. The products like ours, the client has accessed it, applied, and got a proposal from 5 banks, and in the same spot the client is saying what the payment is with this or that bank, what the rate is with this or that bank, and he can play around with the terms on the top. And this is how it is happening. You should not be actually thinking that the bank which is crediting up to the ceiling, we actually see that in certain conditions, if a person needs $1 million, not the bank which is proposing minimum rate will win. Maybe it will be the bank that proposes $1 million worth in credits. And this is the kind of analysis that we will provide. And this has not happened before. So next time when you are thinking about getting a loan and you are getting a proposal from your salary bank, you should check whether that proposal is actually better. It's not always better when it comes from the bank where you get your salary. Sometimes quite unexpected banks can propose to you more interesting terms. So actually I'm almost finished. Let me now answer the questions. Do we have a mic? Because I can hear something yet. Okay, identification. Once the client has entered and authorized itself via the government services portal, and then we propose the client to make an appointment with our representative, a courier. It's an employee of our financial marketplace Sravni.ru, who is authorized to perform the physical identification, who is looking at the purse but compares it with the questionnaire data, and we pass over all that information to the bank. And the bank receives that application in a normal way. It doesn't perform its authentication. Yes, actually the revolution by federal law, done by federal law 2011 is that 2011, 211, is that actually it made amendments to federal law 115, and it has actually authorized organizations like ours to perform the authentication of natural persons by themselves, so their banks do not have to repeat it. So, which means they do not have to repeat it, and it's well received. Also about the infrastructure, you were the first ones to make it cloud-based. What kind of banking infrastructure has actually required you, was the first one to require you to have it certified, have your cloud services certified? Yes, here it's not the entire process. The entire process is assumed by us. So we undertake it, we monitor, we perform the financial monitoring, we'll do all the verification, we do it for ourselves, for the financial platform, because we are the same kind of subordinate entity for central bank, like a bank, and we are liable by our license. It can be withheld from us. So on the side of the bank, it's only decision making. So the scheme for the bank is that it actually allows us to interview the people and all the risk is with the bank, but all the interviews, and we actually send the questionnaire to the bank, and the bank actually also does check the questionnaire. Some of them actually do check the questionnaires that we forward to them and repeat the checkups when it comes to the information contained in the questionnaire, because if a verification and inspection comes from the central bank to the bank, they can ask us. We actually report to the so-called register of financial transactions, and it's transparent. The central bank is seeing it, and when the central bank will see those transactions, the bank can actually refer the central bank to our platform for identification. So, is it only retail and also cash and other B2B options? There is another options of also we'll also be crediting SMEs probably when the new revisions are made to the relevant laws. And we are open in the projects that we will be making. We are carefully selecting them, but because the lead generation is increasing, I think that we will be looking at that, and I'm not sure. I cannot tell whether we will be doing it or not. So can you please tell me, yesterday a lot has been mentioned about the competition as the locomotive of the innovation and the motor of the market, and you are becoming the competitors. How do you position yourself, and what international examples are you being guided by? When it comes to the competitors, our company is working in several sectors, in insurance, in the banking lead generation sector, and financial platforms, which are our directions. And it's actually, we are sort of a game changer in the market, and we have the competitors of our own which do not overlap. We have competitors in insurance, competitors in the banking lead generation. Our best known competitor is similar platforms. And in the financial platforms, the market is on just being created, being shaped. So there are so far no competitors because the market is just being generated. So about building the foreign examples in England, actually, on the credit bureau site, you can get a mortgage, and we don't have fully fledged projects. We're not aware on any of them. But when it comes to the prime costs, what of your services? Briefly, how is it taking place, and are you aiming at players in the market, and is there a certain scaling for various kinds of players? Are you changing tariffs for different types of banks? In that respect, we are quite limited. It's good on the one hand, it's better for the banks and worse for us, because we wanna ask for larger commission from some banks and smaller with the ones who have more interesting conditions, but we are supposed to maintain the single set of conditions for all market players. And if the loan or questionnaire was actually filled out with us, but then the signature, the client can actually sign the contract at the bank office, it's only 2%. Otherwise, it's greater. It's absolutely a market-related story. And there is another platform with a similar pilot project which offers comparable conditions. And here the market is starting to get established. I don't think they will be increasing very promptly because the margin is limited. And am I right in understanding that we have 100% conversion, having in mind that you have 100 payment for the issued products? We get 100% conversion if the loan is issued, and then we get paid. And from any client who just apply to us, most of them will be turned down with their application, so we're not going to get any conversion. But if the credit is issued, then the bank would have to pay to us, of course. Good afternoon. Am I right in understanding? Maybe I just missed it. What kind of loans are you working with? Because there are different consumer loans and mortgages, different sets of documents. Car purchasing or vehicle purchasing, and do you have any brokerage links to any brokerage and management of credits? If we're talking about the platform, the entire pool of insurance products, retail products, if we're talking about the banking, we have the entire line of retail products. We have a shopping window for mortgage, we have micro loans, we have debit cards, credit cards, deposits. To a lesser extent, we have investment, and we are not able to find the value for the client, what is to be compared, but we do special projects with our entire stream of the clients, telling them about this or that platform, informing them about this or that platform. And we thought about it, but did not yet shape into a permanent case. And there are shopping windows and sales via the agents. When we are talking about a deep process, a full track, we start with the cash. We'll start probably with the cash credits, and we are going to work with that as well. And also trust management and micro loans. It's a huge trend that we have available for sure. So scoring is on the side of the loan issuers, of the creditors. It's a referral, or if we have talking about a full transaction, because no rigid identification is required, and then the scoring process is on the side of the microfinancing organization, and so you are actually killing the traditional markets or not. So do people get more credits for you than otherwise? Not yet. And we are not looking into destroying the traditional markets. We're actually looking at it as a distribution channel. But the question is the distribution channel to what category of clients it's oriented. And so it's for a couple of years, it's 5 to 7%, and microfunding, it's a little bit more. But traditional markets are not killed. Like I said, we have Ozon and Wildberries online shops, but we still have the electronic chain stores and grocery supermarkets like Petorichka. So I don't think we are not looking at it as destroying the traditional marketplaces. So that must be it. No further questions. With this, I would like to thank you. Thank you for coming so early in the morning.